Here's an eclectic list of games I played last year in 2025. Some I talked about on the channel, some not. Some came out in 2025, others didn't. Doesn't really matter. The point is I just played them during that year. This video is just a good way to talk about several things at once in one go. That way I can talk about some games I didn't mention that year, or maybe add some points to things already discussed in previous videos. As like a sort of update thing, I guess. Games aren't ordered in rankings or anything, it's just how I thought they'd fit well into the video. And in the end, we'll talk a little bit about what I want to play for this year. Nintendo Switch 2. I'll just group everything together in regards to that console and its games. Honestly, I haven't played the Switch 2 in a while, but the couple of games I played on it I enjoyed so far, generally speaking. Mario Kart World is a bit interesting. I need to check that out again because I haven't played it after, the patches that came out there. So yeah, that's been a while. To be honest, that game unfortunately didn't give me that wow feeling that Mario Kart 8 did back when it came out on the Wii U. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's more fun to be had, but it doesn't feel as groundbreaking as Mario Kart 8, even though technically on paper it seems like it should be. Who knows, maybe that game is just going to be a stepping stone to something a bit better. Or maybe maybe it is going to be a better game eventually after several patches. I like some of the ideas it has, and yeah, it's interesting, but there's too much random chaos from my experience so far. Splatoon 3 is a Switch 1 game, but it feels like on the Switch 2 it's what it should have been all along, so I think that's worth mentioning. That's also true with many other Nintendo games that came out on the Switch 1. I was excited for Pokemon Legends ZA, but looking at the footage now, I don't know. I don't really care about the crummy graphics or anything, but it just doesn't seem as good as I thought it was going to be. But, maybe I'll just wait until it's cheap and then get it on when it's on sale or something. I'm more excited for the next mainline Pokemon game anyway. And also on the Switch 2, I have a review copy of Disgaea 7, as some of you know, because I reviewed that limited edition there that Nisa sent over. I'll play more of that this year because it is a fun game, and I still want to do a review on that actually. I haven't played a Disgaea game really in a while, so it's kind of fun to just get back into that mindset of that whole universe. It's just unfortunate that on the Switch 2 it doesn't run as good as you think it should. Overall, I think 2026 will be the year where more interesting things will come out for the Switch 2, and yeah, I'm just gonna observe how that all goes there. The next game is actually another grouped together thing. It's the 3 gacha games I play regularly, which is Zenless Zone Zero, DK, and Heroes Frontline 2. I started them all either late 2024 or early 2025. I'm still regularly playing these. With Zenless, I play when the new updates come out. I still think the TV mode removal was a mistake. The game's storyline hasn't been as engaging since then, and yeah. I'm sure they'll do some other stuff going forward, but it's still enjoyable. It's not like I'm gonna be like, oh, I don't like it or anything. It's just that I liked how it was in the very beginning. Like, I want that kind of feeling back. Nikkei is the one I got more and more into the more I played. At first I thought it's gonna be like just a passing thing, but despite having like arguably the simplest gameplay, I don't know, it's just like I just find it a lot of fun. I'm around level it's over 290, maybe 292 or something like that. I haven't caught up with the main story yet, but that's okay. I'm getting there. I've been enjoying most of the events, new characters, and updates. For some reason, I don't mind the grinding part of the game at all. If I get stuck, I just end up doing more dailies, for a while until the characters are strong enough. I'm also very pleased with the levels of fan service. There's quite a lot of it in many different ways, and it doesn't feel like it's super restricted like it is nowadays with other, traditional games that you would find on a Nintendo console or on a PlayStation console. I mean, one of the newest outfits just has one of the characters basically without pants on, so there you go. Speaking of outfits, it does feel a little bit, because it's a gacha game, it does feel dirty when you're like spending money on that sort of stuff, and it's like, wow, I spent a lot of money on that. I could have bought lowering springs or something. Heroes Frontline 2 is the one I play the most casually, I guess. Or it's more like a roller coaster. I'll get into it like a lot, and then it tapers off and I don't mind skipping like a couple of weeks or whatever. I do enjoy the story, but as someone who hasn't played the original game or watched the anime, I'm a bit clueless on a lot of the things that are going on, both with character relationships and events. But I can get into the game world, so I observe the story even if in ignorance. The addition of the crew quarters thing or whatever it's called is kind of fun. Fan service levels are pretty good. Just good animations, costumes, and whatnot. I also like how there are options for various outfits, but not so nice is that there's like, cost associated to getting the different options. Like you can have a different top or a different bottom or leggings or whatever. In a way, I feel like there's not that much to do between updates, but I think it's maybe more down to the fact that I'm not really putting that much effort into maximizing my characters. There's probably more I can do, but there's also only so much time I'm willing to invest in a game. But anyways, it's fine. Overall, when it comes to gacha games, is that it can be exhausting to play. I'm very reluctant to play any more gacha games. Brown Dust 2 is a little bit kind of a thing I want to look into because it looks like fan service is quite high on that, but yeah, I'm not really rushing to try it out. Next up is Turret Girls. I really like this one. It's kind of a rail shooter tower defense situation. In a way, it's a bit basic and you can play through it in a few hours, but it's like those quirky Japanese fan service games you'd see in the 2010s. And you don't really see that sort of thing anymore, so this is really fun to play, even though it's quite limited. With so much gacha stuff going on, it's nice to see like just a normal game, even if it's bare bones. I reviewed the game on the channel there. It's just a fan service game you can just have a bit of a laugh about. Tokyo Extreme Racer. I played this game during early access. As some of you know, I'm a car and motorsports fan. I used to do sim racing, though that's not really something I've done in a while. I'll get back to it one day, that's an aim I have. I do enjoy games that lie between arcade and simulations, one that you don't necessarily have to have, a steering wheel with. And Tokyo Extreme Racer, I think it's probably a little bit more towards the arcade side of things, but without any of that, silly arcade stuff that started coming out in the last 10 or 15 years. It's really nice to play a straight-to-the-point game for a change. There's not too much hand-holding. You just drive, figure it out yourself, get better, improve your skill, and start winning. The style of the game is really cool too in terms of like art style and visuals. I've been a fan of Japanese car culture since maybe the mid-2000s or so, and there's just so much of that atmosphere that's so well captured. Obviously, there's the cars, from the 90s and late 80s and stuff, but also more recent things. And then there's other stuff like locations with the different expressways and the parking areas and the service areas. And even the little things like lighting, specifically street lighting, is really interesting. Like they'll have the bright white LEDs and some portions will have the yellowish sodium lights. And then there's also that feeling of isolation that you have when you're driving around. Like you have this tunnel vision and, you can see stuff around you. You can see kind of where you are in Tokyo and stuff because you can see the landmarks and you can recognize locations. But at the same time, you're like, that's just peripheral vision. You're focused on the lines of the road and all of that stuff. And that's like a really cool feeling. It's like you're in your own world. Mustache. No rhythm game really gets my attention like Mustache. I just like how it feels. It's nice to, use with just a mechanical keyboard. I like that it's simple, just up and down, not too many other gimmicks. Every few months I'll play it, usually when I see that there's an update, so that means there's new songs. Not much more to say than that. I know there's this one rhythm game there with the thighs that I want to try out, so yeah, that's probably a funny one. Oblivion Remastered. I played the original Oblivion on the PC. I bought it in 2007. I have everything as physical copies on discs. So I've got the original game, Knights of the Nine, and Shivering Isles. I like that the remaster still feels like the original game, but at the same time, it just looks so good. It's like a very well done mod that is supposed to be a compliment. It's really fun to go explore everything again with the new graphics. Also, as a side note, you probably see here that the footage is from the beginning. I had a couple of hours of gameplay, but I reinstalled Windows and then it's like, my save game is gone. I thought that was like synchronized to, Steam or whatever. So why is that not here? But anyways, not that big of a loss. I was just going to start a new character anyways. I also just want to mention that this is the first time I played around with some of the newer types of graphical settings, like upscaling, frame generation, and stuff like that. It's really surprising how much lag you can add with all that frame generation stuff. And it's also easy to make things super ugly, which is like, I thought this is supposed to make everything, look better. I managed to get a weird pattern going on with the foliage, which was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And then there's other stuff like, I guess you can call them trails. Like when stuff moves across the screen, it looks almost like you have a screen with a really slow refresh rate. And then there's other artifacts that happen when motion is present. It's all a bit ugly. Just lower the graphics, and then overall the image quality is just going to be better than if you do some weird AI stuff on it. It's like some sort of weird dynamic filter that is over the game and it just ruins everything visually. I'm sure it'll get better over time, but it's a no for me. Neptunia Rebirth and the Atelier Ryza games. As always, I review those games on the channel. They aren't new games, so there isn't really much to say here. Neptunia in general is turning into a blur in my mind. There's so many re-releases and ports of existing games. I just want to see some new stuff, please. I know Neptunia vs. Doggos was new, but wow, that was not a great game. And it's a driving game with bad driving physics. It just feels awful. So yeah, I want to see a new mainline game, please. Supposedly there's something, going on there. I really hope that something comes out soon. At least an announcement there. Ryza was interesting to replay because having played all the games a few years ago, the first game now feels a bit weird. It's like it's clunkier than I expected, but it turns out the reason for that is the improvements in the second and third game are noticeably absent in the first. But yeah, this whole DX thing, I'm not a fan of that, those DX games being digital only in North America and I guess in Europe as well. Then you have to import an Asian version just to have physical copies there. I'm sure it's one of those things where they're like, hey, if we just, force them to buy digital, eventually they'll get used to it and we can just, vomit out digital only games forever at the same high price. I'm sure that's what their strategy is. Atelier, Reslariana, The Red Alchemist, and The White Guardian. That was a pretty fun one because it's based on the old game engine. It feels properly old school, like, sort of PS3 era Atelier game, minus the time limit. Honestly, I still like the idea of a time limit, but I don't think we'll ever see that again. Nothing like working really hard trying to get through the game and then getting a bad ending. But yeah, The Red Alchemist and White Guardian is pretty fun. I like the dual protagonist sort of thing. I like the character designs. And it's also funny how all the other alchemists just kind of pop up out of nowhere like crazy in the story. Now here's a weird one to talk about, baby. Power Wash Simulator 2. I don't think I've ever talked about liking this game or the previous game on the channel before, but I don't know. I just find it enjoyable to play every now and then. And I thought, hey, the second one is out. I may as well give that a go. But it turns out I get motion sickness from it. There's several settings that I changed to make it look and behave like the first game, but I guess it helps a little bit, but I just had to take a break. It's like, wow. So honestly, it's a game that I play every now and then. I just had to put it away for a while because of that and see if that happens again the next time I pick it up. This is a good way to just bring up motion sickness for a bit because it's not really a thing that I have with games, only with some really specific stuff. I was actually looking through some footage and I found some footage of me playing Call of Duty Vanguard. And looking at the footage made me feel really nauseous. And I'm like, whoa, I think I'm going to throw up or something. But I was using the same computer and screen and everything that I was playing the game on to watch the footage back. But I guess because I'm not in control, that's what makes me nauseous. But yeah, it only happens in some very specific games where I get motion sick, like the reboot of Tomb Raider. In Minecraft, if I move too fast, I kind of just have to slow down a little bit and not go at 100%. And also apparently Power Wash Simulator 2. Thankfully, no other games so far. Just it happens with first-person shooters if I watch back footage. But I can play them no problem for hours and hours. So yeah, a weird thing. And those are probably most of the games I played in 2025. Just when recording footage for this video, I kind of started playing Tokyo Extreme Racer again. So yeah, that's kind of fun. This year in 2026, I want to try Assetto Corsa Rally. That looks pretty great. I've played the Codemasters Rally games extensively over the years. I've had a world record at one point actually with one of the Monte Carlo stages with, which one was it, Dirt Rally 2 or 3? Anyway. And now that EA is busy ruining Codemasters, it's probably time to check out new pastures there. I'm interested to see how Valve's new hardware is also going to be like. I know that's not a game, but whatever. It's gaming related. The Steam machine looks really interesting to me. And I think it's also good to have like a PC thing that a lot of people have, like the Steam Deck, because those are standards to optimize games towards. And hopefully that makes it so that, games will be optimized better overall, which seems to be a problem these days. The Switch 2 is also going to be something I'll observe closely. not just as a Nintendo fan, but just, you know, for various other reasons as well. Nintendo's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I really like the games they make. And at the same time, it's like, oh, wow, as a company, they make really awful decisions and stuff, you know, where they're like, you know, why are you behaving this way? So I guess we'll see what happens there. And also, because of the large amount of gacha games, I kind of want to reverse a little bit in terms of fan service games. And I'm compiling a list right now of fan service games that have come out recently, as well as some that are maybe older that I missed. So yeah, I'm compiling a list right now. Hopefully I can make a video on that, and that should be pretty fun there. I also wouldn't mind getting into another shooting game. I haven't really played that many shooters last year. Always played Battlefield, but yeah. I like the historical settings, but I'll still look at Battlefield 6. I wouldn't mind also finally trying out Atelier Yumiya. I want to see how good the customization features are and the free roaming and everything, but I'm a little bit concerned about the nerfing of the fan service. We kind of saw that starting with Ryza 3, where they toned down things a little bit, like in very subtle ways. Hopefully, you know, that's not the case there. If you have any game recommendations, please comment below, especially if it's like ecchi or fan servicey stuff that I can show on the channel. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.